Good evening and welcome to BATV News. I'm Kenil Gale. Tourism arrivals for the January to March first quarter of 2018 have jumped over 6%. This, Tourism Minister Ed Bartlett says, sets up Jamaica for another record-breaking year. Nordia Francis Williams reports.
Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett says despite a record-breaking 2017, Jamaica's tourism numbers for the first quarter of 2018 have hit new records. Minister Bartlett says total stopover and cruise passenger arrivals stood at approximately 1.3 million for the January to March first quarter of 2018. That is over 80,000 more tourists than the corresponding period last year, or a 6.6% increase. He points out that provisional data show that the month of March also recorded a whopping 11.3% increase in stopover arrivals over the same month last year. Of note also is that for the period, gross estimated foreign exchange earnings stood at $821.2 million, representing an increase of 8%. The tourism minister says these figures come on the heels of last year's record growth in arrivals, which eclipsed the total increase of the previous 4 years, with total arrivals of approximately 4.3 million and foreign exchange earnings reaching approximately $3 billion. The tourism minister is also pointing out that these increased figures are as a result of a dynamic and multifaceted stakeholder engagement campaign cutting across Jamaica's main markets of the US, Canada, and Europe. The tourism minister says his ministry has over the last several months and weeks before and after the implementation of the state of emergency in St. James met with major industry players to reassure them that Jamaica is open for business and is still a first-class destination. Meanwhile, senior advisor and strategist Delano Sivright notes that the multifaceted stakeholder engagement campaign continues later this month with visits to several key South American markets, including Argentina, Chile, Peru, and Colombia. In the meantime, Minister Bartlett says the ministry intends to transform the island's tourism sector and has implemented a 5x5x5 growth plan to attract 5 million visitors by 2021. Generate $5 billion in tourism earnings, increase the total direct jobs to 125,000, and add 15,000 new hotel rooms. For BATV News, I'm Nordia Francis Williams.
About $300 million in what is being described as fake goods was seized in a raid of 2 Chinese-operated stores in downtown Kingston yesterday. The operation was carried out by the Counter-Terrorism and Organized Crime CTOC investigation branch of the Jamaica Constabulary Force. At the end of the operation, 6 Chinese nationals were taken into custody. Head of CTOC, Assistant Commissioner of Police Fitz Bailey, says the 2 stores had what seemed to be counterfeit products of various brands such as Adidas, Nike, Louis Vuitton, and others. The seizure is said to be a part of efforts by CTOC to clamp down on counterfeit goods across the island. Within the next 12 months, vendors and customers who use the Port Maria Market in St. Mary are expected to have access to a new facility. This follows the signing of a $56 million contract that will see the commencement of work to replace the old structure. The signing ceremony took place at the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development in St. Andrew today. The new market, which will be able to accommodate 55 stalls, is expected to be more conducive to customers and vendors who use the facility. Addressing the ceremony, Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie said the government is making a concerted effort to upgrade markets island-wide. He pointed out that work is expected to begin shortly following the groundbreaking ceremony, which is expected to get underway in approximately 2 weeks. And when we come back, a Chinese company sets up a regional distribution hub in Jamaica. This and more after the break. Welcome back. A new player is coming to heavy-duty trucks distribution in Jamaica, and the Tankweld Group is spearheading the move. Javon Keys has more.
Tankweld is a Jamaican brand known for its distribution of steel and lumber. However, the company is now speeding into a new frontier as they've inked a deal with the Chinese government-owned Shackman Trucks to become the local and regional distributor of the brand. Managing Director of the Tankweld Group, John Ralston, says after seeing these trucks being operated by Chinese contractor China Harbour and testing them in their daily operations, a distribution deal was sought.
We brought in 5 trucks into the country, and those trucks came in just beginning of October, and we have tested them since. Beginning of December, I was invited to China to come and meet them, to visit the plant and to see what they're all about. I went over there and we inked a deal for us to be the exclusive dealer for Shackman in Jamaica and also the Caribbean. As a result, we've placed many orders. We have over 100 trucks on order or on the water on the way to Jamaica, and a significant portion of those are already sold.
He says the familiar technology used in the manufacturing of the Shackman trucks makes it a good fit for local fleets, so much so that in about a year and a half, Tankweld will phase out its current fleet of American-made Mack trucks for Shackmans.
The reason why we like the Shackman trucks is because they're not electronically advanced as what we're buying out to the States, and as a result, the mechanics that we have here in Jamaica are very familiar with the technology. Tankweld is going to be changing out their entire fleet of Mack trucks and international trucks into Shackman trucks over a period which will not exceed 18 months. We're building a showroom on the front, which is 80 feet wide by 40 feet deep. So we'll hold probably 4 or 5 trucks in that showroom. We're in the process of building a parts warehouse larger than what we had for what we were running our Mack trucks with.
He says the trucks will come with 1 cabin type and 2 engine variants, 1 Chinese-made and also the popular American-made Cummins engine. The first shipment of trucks for sale should arrive in Jamaica on the 20th of April and the second about the 24th. Both shipments will total about 60 trucks, and he says a number of them have already been sold. For BATV News, I'm Javon Keys.
Meanwhile, Toyota Jamaica, ATL Automotive Group, and Kingston Industrial Garage have joined forces and created the new Car Dealers Association of Jamaica, NCDAJ. The new Car Dealers Association, launched yesterday, recently parted ways with the Automobile Dealers Association, ADA, after what was described as years of continued disagreement with the ADA's management.
These 3 car dealers, which, as I said, hold 64%
We're not looking for a competitive advantage
of new cars imported by dealers in Jamaica, felt that their voice was not being heard by the management of the ADA in various different points, and as a result, they gave notice that they were not happy with these different aspects of what's happening. The 3 of them resigned one after the other in short order. And the 3 of them came together, feeling that there was a need for an association that had unity of the dealers, and as a result, sat down, went through all of what they considered to be the issues with regard to the old association, and they put a framework together to launch this association, solving the problems of yesteryear with the last association.
Mr. Ralston says together, members of the new Car Dealers Association of Jamaica import more than 50% of all cars into Jamaica. However, he says the association is focused on developing the industry and not necessarily competing with the ADA.
We're not looking for a competitive advantage at all. I'm not here to tell you that 2 associations are not going to run side by side, but I will tell you that everybody will be invited to join. There is strength in numbers, as long as there is unity. So as long as there is unity, there is no reason why one association can't operate.
IGL Limited says it is committed to reducing its carbon footprint. The company unveiled 3 liquefied natural gas LNG-powered tractor heads yesterday. The move is part of IGL's Clean Air initiative. Jamila Maitland reports.
The gas company is the first to introduce LNG-powered tractor-heads to Jamaica. The alternative energy fuel cuts pollution by some 45% and is expected to reduce greenhouse emissions by 9%. IGL General Manager Wayne Kirkpatrick says the company is committed to being the leading clean energy makers in the Caribbean. He says the introduction of the tractor heads is the first among the many steps IGL is taking as a socially and environmentally conscious company.
Today, we are proud to say IGL has taken yet another step to reduce carbon footprints, block by block, mile by mile, by introducing the first set of tractor heads fueled by LNG, liquefied natural gas, supplied by our partner New Fortress Energy.
He notes that the LNG-fueled trucks will be used on longer hauls across Jamaica. Meanwhile, Energy Minister Dr. Andrew Wheatley congratulated the IGL team for the move.
The unveiling of these trucks today is certainly an indication of IGL's commitment to energy efficiency and to the overall energy policy of the government, which was developed in 2009, which speaks to energy diversification. And LNG is a critical component of that whole diversification process. And so we are pleased to see that LNG is finding routes or finding ways to impact our lives, not only in the electricity sector, but also in the transportation sector.
He explained that although Jamaica and other Caribbean countries produces only a small percent of greenhouse gases, we are significantly impacted by climate change.
Energy security is critical for us as a country. We have been dealing with a number of issues as it relates to securing our future from an energy perspective. And I want to say that Jamaica is committed to our own energy security as a country and as a people. And we will do whatever is necessary to ensure that we provide our people with the best opportunity for us to be competitive. And so the move by IGL to incorporate LNG in their energy matrix is one such move.
In the meantime, the Energy Minister shared that the Jamaica Urban Transit Company, JUTC, is looking towards using LNG to fuel buses in the very near future. For BATV News, I'm Jamila Maitland.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Transport and Mining, Dr. Alwyn Hales, says the development minerals sector has the potential to deliver significant economic benefits for Jamaica. Dr. Hales, who was delivering the keynote address at yesterday's opening of a 4-day workshop for quarry owners, operators, and entrepreneurs, said there are resources in the industry that are yet to be explored for the nation's gain. He added that through partnerships with the government and the civil society, benefits from the sector can be extended to positively impact on the natural environment, climate change, and social capital. The comprehensive business and capacity development training administered by the Jamaica Business Development Corporation, JBDC, was targeted at small and medium-scale operators in the industry. Dr. Hales said the workshop will enable the participants to develop and employ winning marketing strategies, enhance their roadmap to business growth through planning, increase their financial literacy and acumen, and aid them to transform their communities. The workshop falls under the African, Caribbean, and Pacific ACP Group of States Development Minerals Program, which is funded by the European Union and the United Nations Development Program. The 3-year, €13.1 million capacity building program is focused on building the profile and improving the management of industrial and construction materials, dimension stones, and semi-precious stones. And stay with us. Regional and international stories are after the break. Welcome back. Time now for regional and international news. Vendors at Cabbage Beach in the Bahamas say they feel abandoned by Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis, who, while in opposition, promised to stand up for them. Our News' Jasmine Brown has more.
The government, they run and big jet all over the place. and us who trying to make a living every day to provide for our family. They want to lock us up. But they want us to go thief and rob and make more crime in this country. But we ain't gonna never do that. We can fight for the speech. And we ain't going down easy.
That's Vice President of the Cabbage Beach Business Owners Association, Othniel Collins. Just about every vendor echoed his sentiments as they insisted they are tired of playing nice with the Minnis administration. Collins insisted he and others will do whatever it takes to ensure their concerns are addressed.
That's what we can die for, right here on Cabbage Beach. My coffin can be right here on this land.
This is not the first time Cabbage Beach vendors expressed their displeasure with Minnis. In January, some of those vendors said they feel used by the Prime Minister and asked that he intervene in their legal matter, given that he had pledged in opposition to expunge their records if they are convicted. The following month, prosecutors withdrew charges against those 10 people after key witnesses failed to appear. But the problems persist, according to some of those vendors who say beach access and harassment are the most pressing concerns.
This issue is not dead. If they think it's dead, simply it's because it's being covered up. It's not being brought out.
And all of these issues would have been going on and plaguing the Bahamian people and the vendors for so long, and they had stated over and over that they was going to make changes and get things together. But as I see, I don't see no changes.
Jaro Sanders is one of the Cabbage Beach 10. He says he now realizes they were likely used as political ploys. Sanders says while Minnis and the FNM may have appeared to be their allies in the past, that is no longer the case.
At the end of the day, we can still stand up no matter what. We ain't scared no matter what they do.
President of the association, Monique Taylor, says the vendors want to meet with the Prime Minister, and only the Prime Minister, as it was Minnis who marched side by side with them. Taylor, who has not worked on the beach since last December because of an injunction against her in the Supreme Court, also called for the Prime Minister to deal with the issue in the House of Assembly. She insisted that if it is not, what happened in 2016 will happen again soon.
History can repeat itself again. You know, if the government don't live up to its promise and its obligation to the Bahamian people and to the vendors on this beach.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
A veteran trade unionist in Antigua is batting for a huge increase for public sector workers. He says if this isn't done, the public service will not be able to attract the best and the brightest. ABS News' Chantal Daniel reports.
Wiggly George explained that this was the only way to prevent a mass exodus from the public service, as workers at the bottom of the salary scale sought more rewarding employment in the job market that is about to expand due to several major investments that are pending.
In the public service, I do believe the time has come for us to look at entry level into the service. I don't think at this time that anyone should really work for less than $2,000 a month. Okay? You have people coming out of college, they have their degrees, they join in the service, and at the entry level is $1,500, $1,400 a month, and so on. That could not compensate for some money. You're looking at a brain drain. But there's hope down the road. Just in case, well, not in case, it is going to happen in this country where employment is going to rise. With all of the pending groups that are coming in here, they're going to need workers.
The legislated minimum wage in Antigua and Barbuda currently stands at EC $8.20 an hour, which on a 5-day work week at 8 hours a day amounts to less than $1,500 a month. An individual working at minimum wage would have to work every single day of the month to earn anywhere in the region of $2,000. George, who has presided over the ATN-LU for almost a quarter century, has already been named for appointment as Antigua and Barbuda's ambassador to the International Labour Organization, or ILO. He laid out his expectations for pending wage negotiations between government and the unions representing public sector workers. George said the ATN-LU intends to avoid making wild and excessive demands as a bargaining tactic, but will employ a scientific approach based on formulas derived from sound logic and research.
We're not going there with no 40% and 30% increase. We know what the index is moving at. We know exactly what they have offered temporarily. And we know exactly where we know that we're going to end up. Okay? And for all the other groups that would have indicated where they want to go, the teachers wanted 25%. The ABP said they want 33 1/3%. And at the same time, they turn around and drop their figure by a certain amount to say, hey, look, we just want the base people around here to move up by a certain amount, which is equal to at least 70-something%.
Ambassador-designate George noted that the current atmosphere of industrial relations is generally peaceful, stable, and not lacking in goodwill. He said there is therefore every reason for unions to come to the table in good faith.
A deadline has passed for thousands of British businesses to disclose the difference between the average earnings of male and female employees. The so-called gender pay gap has revealed huge disparities in pay between the sexes, with 80% of companies often paying men more than women. Al Jazeera's Neve Barker reports from London.
It is an uncomfortable truth about the society we live in. When it comes to pay, men and women are far from equal. This company employs mostly women. It's hoped that by exposing the pay gap, it will help empower women in the workplace.
It's created so much debate and discussion about pay and about inequality in the workplace. It creates a sort of opportunity for people to think again about whether there is discrimination at their offices perhaps, and how they're perceiving women and how they're defining salaries.
Thousands of British companies employing more than 250 people have been forced to disclose pay details. Around 80% pay men more than women. 13%, including the tech giant Apple, pay women more. And just 8%, including big chains such as KFC, McDonald's and Starbucks, say they have no gap at all. Among the worst offenders is the low-cost airline Ryanair, where women make up only 3% of top earners. That's excluding most of the company's management, who are based in Ireland. Ryanair blames the figures on men mainly filling pilot roles. The construction industry and the financial sector also have large pay gaps. The average woman employee at Barclays or Lloyds Bank can expect to be paid more than 40% less than the average man. There have been some high-profile pay disputes too, with actress Claire Foy, who plays Queen Elizabeth in the Netflix series The Crown, earning less than her male counterpart. The British Prime Minister's vowed to tackle what she called the burning injustice of gender inequality. Only 30% of MPs are women.
We have to deal with those stereotypes about what kind of jobs men and women can do, about what leadership looks like, why it is that men and women ask for a pay rise just as often as each other, but men are 4 times more likely to get it. I know there are gender pay gap deniers. This data is hopefully starting a conversation about how these people are out of touch with what's actually going on in our country.
The government says that this isn't simply about naming and shaming companies into paying men and women equal amounts of money. It's about kickstarting a public discussion to try and make the workplace as representative as the world around us. There's no punishment for pay gaps, although companies that fail to publish their figures face legal action. Some politicians argue that without a major societal shift, hefty fines are the only way of forcing firms to close the gap. Neve Barker, Al Jazeera, London.
Stay with us. Talking Stocks comes up next. Welcome back. Time now for Talking Stocks. 46 stocks traded today, of which 19 advanced, 23 declined, and 4 traded firm. The main JSE index advanced by 1,034 points to close at 296,406. The junior index declined by 8 points to close at 2,958 points. Over 13.9 million units traded, valued at over $433 million on the Jamaican dollar market. And on the US dollar market, over 11,000 units traded, amounting to over $2,000 US. Grace Kennedy, with over 7.7 million units changing hands, accounted for 55% of market volume. Carreras was second with 1.1 million units trading, and Alaska Distributors with over 853,000 units trading, accounting for 6% of market volume crossing the floor. Margaritaville Turks was the top advancer, up 5 cents to close at 25 cents, followed by Proven Investments, up 2 cents to close at 22 cents, and Alaska Financial Services, up 50 cents to close at $5.63. The main decliners were Palace Amusement, losing $304.90 to close at $900, followed by Key Insurance, losing 65 cents to close at $4, and Proven 8.25 cumulative redeemable preference share, down 74 cents to close at $5.16. In foreign exchange trading, the Jamaican dollar lost ground on the Canadian dollar today, but gained on the US dollar and the British pound. The US dollar ended the day selling for $125.41, losing 15 cents to the Jamaican dollar. The Canadian dollar sold for $98.11, gaining 32 cents, while the British pound closed the day at $176.37, losing 23 cents to the Jamaican dollar. And that's the news, but before we go, a recap of our top story. Tourism arrivals for the January to March first quarter of 2018 have jumped over 6%. This, Tourism Minister Ed Bartlett says, sets up Jamaica for another record-breaking year. Thanks for watching. For more content, visit our website at batvja.com. I'm Kenil Gale. Pleasant viewing.